All right, this is James Pelton, and I'm here for an AMA with BT or the bank teller, which I've been corrected. There should not be a space in his name, so I apologize for that. He was in here for a minute, but I think he's working out some microphone issues. So I'll start by just kind of greeting another AMA. This is one of my highly invested projects, so I always like to get an update from BT. We've done an AMA before, and I'll say this before he hops on so he's not embarrassed, but he's one of the smartest guys that I've actually talked with. He understands tokenomics and very well. So what I need you to do if you're in the audience is I need you to hit the like button because, again, that's what the YouTube algorithm looks for to say if this is good content, if we should show it to more people. And I'd like to get as many people's eyes on this as possible. So please hit the like button. And then YouTube also likes to see comments. So you know what I want to know is just how you're doing with the markets down so far. I know a lot of people, your money, you see your net worth go down, you get very depressed. I just want to see how everybody's doing. Are you holding in there? Are you doing okay? How are you feeling right now? And then let's see if BT, are you there, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. Perfect timing.
Oh, okay. Yes, there's a dog barking downstairs.
That's all right. I've got children barking upstairs, so we'll just
Okay.
what I do is I just mute between my sentences, and then no one really hears. So very cool. Well,
Okay.
thanks for joining me here today. How are you doing today?
Good, good. Hopefully this connection holds. I'm in sort of like the rec room in my apartment building. Looks like the pool is open now. It's crazy.
There
But
you
yeah,
go. Hey, maybe you can go for a swim after this.
right.
Though for those people who don't know you, I think a lot of people in the comments do know you. For those who don't, could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm BT, short for bank teller, and I've been at this for a couple of years now. Um, Basically, 25 years in fintech and I guess 5 years in DeFi, or before it was DeFi. But good times and stuff for Philadelphia. Um, and Other than that, yeah, just a long career in financial services and applied computer science. Um, we can dive into more specifics if you want, but that's
Okay.
the general gist.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. And I like to kind of let the audience too kind of direct the conversation. So if you're in the audience and you have specific things that you want to talk about, I know we'll have to talk about UST and what's going on with that. But if you guys have specific things that you'd like to talk about, let me know, and we'll kind of direct the conversation in that direction. Can you start maybe by giving a little bit of an elevator pitch of what Elephant.Money was designed to be?
Okay, so basically, Elephant.Money is has a long pedigree and a series of contracts on the blockchain across multiple blockchains to implement cash flow for all. So, what does that mean? Permissionless, uh, uh, UBI or whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's a high yield. We're looking for high yield solutions to solve people's general problem of how do I get a decent, reliable passive income, and we've this is sort of culminated in what you have here today in Elephant.Money, and even recently because of all of the craziness in the markets, we're still evolving. But in general, you have Elephant, which is a reflect token that earns passively, and that's our store of value on the network. And we have quite a bit of tokenomics to uh, help concentrate the economic power of the community. So, I mean, in general, zooming out, Elephant is a community bank, and so what we're trying to do, if you think about general banking services, day to day, your number one interface to your bank is what? Your ATM card, right? So, think of us as like the ATM card, except the opposite. Like we're trying to we're the savings account, the checking account, long term retirement. So you can think of Elephant. Pardon me. You can think of Elephant as the long term like shares in the community bank, and over it's designed such that over 80% of the tokens in Elephant are held by the protocol. 50% by a graveyard, which is like a smart burn address that does rebalances, so that it doesn't get too large and keeps rewards flowing to the community. And then there's a treasury which locks up tokens and concentrates value. Our treasury got hit, very similar to the attack that you've seen on UST. And just to briefly speak to that, because I know there's going to be more questions, but to briefly speak to that, it doesn't matter whether you're immune to, like, say, a flash loan or being immune to flash loans is not enough. You saw with UST that basically these people, since they had deep pockets, they just took out an OTC loan, right, and then began their attack. So, as your protocol grows within TVL, I said this at the beginning of our particular exploit, and people didn't believe me at the time. They as the protocol gets larger, potential, and these are truly enemies. Your enemies, the quality of your enemies improves, and you saw with UST that the quality of their enemy was, a major player in the space, and it was an attack on a coordinated attack on their protocol, and similarly there was a coordinated attack on Elephant. So the last I'll say with speaking to Elephant specifically, the Elephant token specifically, is that we are in the process of rebuilding that treasury, and we've re-architected major components of the system so that they operate passively and that they're not beholden to the games that whales will play. As a community, we have to. Well, I think Elephant is actually very resilient, and you're seeing that in the charts over the past couple of days. And as we're growing the treasury, we're also growing in price against BNB. The other part of the protocol is Trunk, which is a stablecoin yield platform, and that is, I guess, the primary way that people, store value and earn yield. 84, around 80% right now for what would be considered the general savings checking account, right? You have full access to your funds at any given time, and you're earning very favorable yields on that. And then we have Stampede, which is like a long-term certificate of deposit, and that earns 205% APR fixed. The way that those two products interact with Elephant, and the way that we can pay out those yields, is that when you mint Trunk, that directly goes to a cash treasury, which then fuels the buybacks of the Elephant token. And so, as we're minting and increasing the supply of Trunk, we are growing the pot in the Elephant treasury. We call that affectionately Bertha. And so as Bertha gets bigger, she takes care of all of us. So We could talk more about what's going on with Bertha and how that relates to uh, getting trunk back to peg, because right now we're at around 75 cents. So we're holding up without having to sell off our whole treasury like Do Kwon. But we can talk more about that later.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Can you talk a little bit more about the exploit and what happened and what you did to fix it so that, something like that won't happen again?
Sure. So uh, we had several mechanisms in place to protect against that type of exploit. Um, we did not have a two-phase minting solution, though under normal utilization, even under heavy volume, um, the system had demonstrated that it could handle that, right? So only a specific um, attacker, very sophisticated attacker, could pull that off. So this isn't your standard flash loan attack. If you just took out a loan and tried to do some quick arbitrage, you wouldn't have get off with that much in funds. Under further investigation, we saw that these attackers were clearly uh, poking and prodding over the course of months to get. I mean, this attack was QA tested and had a team behind it to design this particular contract and attack. But basically, they took out a very large loan and basically pumped 261 million in funds to basically extract 11 million in sort of cash reward. In the grand scheme of things, they didn't take out a lot of money, but it caused a cascade because there was so much volume to generate that. So basically, they're looping and they're basically minting trunk, which was directly impacting the price of Elephant, and then redeeming and doing that loop many times and using the funds from the previous iteration to further cascade and snowball the effect of collecting profit, even in the face of like the 20% or the 10% fees on Elephant. They were actually circumventing the 10% fee on Elephant when they were redeeming, and so ultimately they sold off that Elephant for profit, which caused a a rebalance. So every time we generate 1% in volume above the 50% that the Elephant graveyard holds, we do a rebalance and basically sell off half of that. So 5 trillion Elephant is sold off and then paired with the other Elephant in BNB and added as liquidity. But in that single transaction, we had twice the volume. It was actually a 2% sell off. So like 10 trillion tokens were sold instead, which was quite a bit. So that further impacted the price of Elephant. So at the end of the attack, it's really important for people to understand that we were still at peg. All this stuff happened, and we were still at peg. The reason we're not at peg is because the community panicked. So we were quick to get on this, and we had to first assess what actually went on and make sure that we didn't get hit again with a second attack. So that was the little bit of a lag between when the attack happened and when I put that first initial communication out. But in that time, people just saw the drop in Elephant, and it was like, oh, is this a rug pull or something like that? And but the response was that we had all of these sort of conservative players in the protocol, who might not have been with the protocol that long, but are getting these juicy yields on, basically, it's like using Anchor, right? It's like UST, except you're getting you're getting instead of 20%, you're getting 75% at the time. So they said, okay, well, I'm just going to get out, and that's what actually dropped the peg. So one of the points of all this, especially if we're going to have the staking, is that people do the community is responsible for holding the peg, and I think that's one of the that's one of the there's there's only so much magic that you can do there. Like a bank run is a bank run, and we either put in capital controls so that you can't take your money out, or you have to take responsibility for the peg. There can't be either or. In traditional banking, we have circuit breakers. So like on the stock market, or on FX exchanges, we have circuit breakers that come into play where, if there's too much volatility, we shut things off. We can add those in DeFi. And you saw with UST that there's no circuit breakers there. So even the largest protocols can get hit. And now we have, the way we've changed that is that, at least for now, the peg is based on market forces. So, as the protocol heals, we set up the protocol now so that it's very passive, and everything happens on a schedule. Everything is dictated by percentages and APRs. And so we have a peg support strategy now. We've split up things into governance contracts, the single-sided and double-sided liquidity pools, basically the treasuries and the LPs. And then we have the customer-facing contracts like staking and the reserve for minting and redeeming, and Stampede for certificate of deposit. And those particular contracts, they just push and pull to the treasuries now, and then the governance contracts work with the work by moving funds between the treasuries and the liquidity pools, based on APR and sort of guiding principles, in the sense that the way to generally tell the health of the overall ecosystem is like via Stampede. So basically, the amount of outstanding bonds, we can use that as like the single number that says, how fast is our community growing in terms of utility? And as those bonds grow, that means that we should have more users, we should have more inflows, and so we use that as the number that dictates the yield that the trunk stakers get now. And that seems to be working out well, and they're actually getting a little bit higher yield than they were getting before the exploit. But the bottom line is that, like, if somebody mints a trillion tokens, that $1 trillion will just sit in the BUSD treasury, and then the buyback strategy, governance strategy, will slowly buy into Elephant over a course of several days. Basically, 10% of that pool of cash is used to DCA into Elephant over time. And then as well, when you do mint, to break any type of smart contract loops or flash loans, we have a two-phase strategy now where you mint, you don't get your tokens immediately. Three blocks later, you get your tokens by a claim function that you can use to get the tokens now. And then for redeem as well, you can't redeem if you mint. You can't redeem until 3 blocks later. And if you redeem, that also sets you up to any interaction with the reserve. Basically, you have to wait 3 blocks before you can do the next interaction. So we basically have made ourselves fully smart contract proof. You'll know that there's a ton of protocols out there where you don't have this type of delays, but that also means that those protocols are subject to those types of manipulations, like what you saw with UST.
Yeah. And just for people who don't understand what flash loan, what those are, are you able to give a TLDR quick version of what happens with those and why the 3 block delay is important?
Sure. So the flash loans in general are provided by usually two different types of players, either DEXs or lending protocols. But basically, what it is uh, the reason they exist is for arbitrage. So DEXs use those for arbitrage to basically skim profit off of one liquidity pool versus the other for a given asset. So you might have uh, what's a good example? Let's just say WBNB, but you might have WBNB you might have a WBNB UST pool, you might have a WBNB BUSD pool, right? And those are both supposed to be $1 on one side and BNB on the other side. But if there's a little bit of skew or float between those two in terms of value, you can arbitrage between the BNB. So you could borrow a bunch of BNB somewhere, and you could skim the profit off of those two dollar pegged pools. So what the way the flash loans work is um, the DEX or the lending protocol will allow smart contract developers to borrow funds against a particular liquidity pool, whether it be a single-sided sort of lending pool, or whether it be like a double-sided um, uh, liquidity pool pair. But basically, you can borrow those funds, uh, and as long as you return those funds plus fees in the same block, you can do whatever you want to do to generate profit in the context of that single transaction. And so usually the way these things work is there's a little bit of detail, but basically the way you want to think about it, well, how do they guarantee that? Well, basically you write all your code for what you want to do, and many times you package that up with like a big like go button for like how you're going to make profit, and you're actually running they actually run your transaction with the big go button with the general parameters for borrowing the money and returning the money as like callbacks. So your transaction is running in the context of their flash loan context. So the lender creates the context, you run your function inside of it, borrowing the money and returning the money. And that's generally how those work. And so in the case of our stuff, in the case of our exploit, I should say, the attacker, one of the last things that the attacker did was basically he was accruing all the profit. Once he got all the profit, sent that out as one big WBNB to a particular wallet address, and then basically repaid the loan. Um, uh, and then after that, yeah, so that's flash loans. I can tell you
Okay,
what they did
yeah.
with the money afterwards, but
Oh, that's super helpful. So yeah, basically so the blockchain is written to in blocks. And so a flash loan is you can basically borrow it almost as much money as you want as long as you return it in the same block. So if people find kind of like a loop of what they can do with money, yeah, usually it's used for arbitrage where, hey, we can make 6 cents on this transaction. Can you give us $1 million? And then we'll run it a whole bunch of times. And
yep,
so that's basically kind of summing it up. So that's why Elephant now doing the 3 block delay, you can't do any flash loans in that. So it's like an easy way to stop that. So yeah, thanks for talking through that. I do just want to address, just because a lot of people have brought it up, and since I have you here, but the Spear Finance team, claimed that they warned you about that exploit. Do you want to talk into that at all?
I never saw that. I think that that is FUD and misinformation. I never had that conversation. I have plenty of records of conversations I did have with auditors trying to investigate, uh, where the vulnerabilities might lie. And I also had a audit by Solidity Finance of the actual code. And at the time, we thought that the measures that we had in place, and especially the fees that we had in place, were sufficient to protect the protocol. And under heavy volume and just normal usage, they were. But as the UST exploit showed, those people have a lot of money, a lot of eyeballs, um, right? Multi-billion-dollar project, right? The most TVL, not only in DeFi, but like we kind of line up apples to apples, and they basically got hit the same way. So what it shows is that even just breaking the loop and breaking the flash loan is not enough. Um, um, that was all these systems are kind of, this is the first generation of all these systems, right? And if you're telling me that just having the smart contract, block, single block loop breaking functionality was sufficient, that's not sufficient, right? UST just showed that. The only difference is the attacker, the quality of your attacker just has to improve, right? That attacker, anyone in finance, any large player in finance has a credit rating and can borrow OTC, right? So that just means that they would have to, get their funds for the attack a different way, and that's exactly how Do Kwon got hit, right? He basically was bragging about how much um, um, how much he could support the peg with BTC, and that was shown um, to not be sufficient, right? Um, so that's generally what we have to do here. So so yeah, so that's basically all I have to say. Like, so the actual, hold on, give me 1 second.
Sure. No problem. Here, I'll bring up the website. For those of you who aren't familiar with Elephant, so if you want to get involved, I'll just kind of show you as we're talking. But basically, so you can mint Trunk with BUSD. So Trunk is designed to be a stable coin, and it's currently a little bit below peg. And we'll talk with BT about when we think it might get back up to peg. But after you mint your BUSD, so you turn your BUSD into Trunk, then you can deposit it into, this is like a savings account with 86% APR. So you can kind of take it in, you can bring it in and out as you want to. So there's no like lockup period or anything like that. So it's kind of like a savings account, but just with a really high APR. The second thing that you can do is you can mint a bond with your Trunk. And so this is going to be similar if you, it's now locked in there, But with a 205% APR, you can start claiming it out, or you can roll it and compound it. So it's basically, you can get the lower APR with more access to it, or you can get the higher APR, but it's locked up for a bit. And again, it's supposed to be, with protocols like Drip, the biggest problem we've had is the price of the token's gone way down. So you might be getting, 1% a day in the case of Drip, but if, it's gone from $200 down to below $20 today. So kind of a similar thing, but with something that is a stable coin. There's a lot that's better. There's a lot more that you can do with that. So, but the real problem right now is that we're below peg. So when BT's back, I'd like to ask him about that a little bit.
And I'm back.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. No, perfect. That's awesome. So I was just explaining to people kind of how they can get involved. Do you want to talk about peg and what you think will need to happen to get back on peg, and
Right.
just market conditions and how that affects peg?
Sure. So, I mean, I think the cool part about our protocol is that we kind of, through growing the treasury, which is that number right below the price, right? The 67 trillion in the elephant treasury. We want that number to go up. And that number right now, what is it currently worth? Around 5 million. So in general, where were we before the exploit? We had a market cap for Trunk that was around 20 million, and we had the value in the elephant treasury alone of over 200 million. That's what we need to focus on. When we have a treasury that large, we have price going up and to the right. We have tons of volatility on elephant. What we were doing was, if you look at the cash flows, we were just by selling our reflections alone. So the treasury is constantly being pumped by the demand for stablecoin yield. So people coming in, bringing their BUSD, we're converting that, we're locking it up into liquidity pools, and we're also growing the treasury. The reflections on the treasury alone were being used to support the Trunk BUSD LP. And so the way that Stampede claims were being paid out is every time you claim Stampede, we were actually building liquidity on the Trunk BUSD pair. And that alone, selling those reflections alone, was enough to support the demand and buy and sell pressure on the Trunk BUSD LP. So what the exploit did is, the way it left us is now we are imbalanced. We have a treasury that's small, and we still have the same demand, if not more, on the stablecoin side, and specifically on the Trunk BUSD LP. We have to basically be able to supply a daily rate of BUSD added as liquidity to that LP, to sustain the peg and to make sure people are liquid. We also get to a point where we also are growing this pool so much, so that we basically get to the point where we don't care about the buys and sells, because we're doing, let's say, 2 million in volume daily. Let's just project out. If we're doing like 2 million in volume daily, but the size of the Trunk BUSD LP is like over 100 million, like, we're good, right? So when Bertha gets to a billion, the ideal setup is basically 10 to 1. We want the treasury to grow and get back to the tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and then 500 million, and then eventually into the billions. That's where we want to get the treasury. But what have we learned from our exploit and also from the UST exploit is that you have to protect that treasury at all costs. And then like, you know, Do Kwon, I think UST is at 90 now. I haven't looked that much today, but I think that peg's at 90 now. Uh, I would argue that their
That's
peg is more
50,
broken.
actually.
What do you say?
It's actually at 50. It got down to like 29 earlier today, so it's not doing well.
Oh wow! See, okay, so let's speak to that. So, like, it's actually failing. And why is that? That's because of poor governance and poor strategy. I don't think Do Kwon's been doing this as long as I have. Um, you would never. Well, BTC is trash. Let me just start off with that. Like, we aren't backing our treasury with BTC. We're backing our treasury with an asset that we actually understand, an asset that where if you row in the same direction, guess what? Price only goes up. You know how Richard Hart likes to say, price go up, right? Like, price can only go up when your price is determined by um, a AMM using the constant product formula, right? You take tokens out of that liquidity pool, price goes up. So this is something that we can bet on. This is something as a community we can row in the same direction. So basically, getting back to PEG and maintaining what we're doing right now, what we have to do is we have to pump that elephant treasury. We actually have to make a concerted effort to get funds into that treasury, get the elephant into there specifically. And one of the ways that we can do that is to simply mint trunk. If you simply mint trunk and throw it into Stampede, that's probably the most effective way. It's even better than just buying. It's better than buying trunk off the open market. If you buy trunk off the open market, yes, that will push up the price, but folks doing arbitrage, people running the arbitrage bots will just basically take any profit that's in that trunk BUSD LP and just push the peg back down. What we have to do is we have to overwhelm. We have to inject. We have to inject cash value into the trunk BUSD LP via liquidity. Because when you add liquidity, there's no arbitrage. It's already balanced. There's no profit to be gained. And we don't have another trunk pool for people to arbitrage against. So the easiest thing that these bots and arbitragers can do, one of our biggest two of our biggest enemies in all of this are 1inch, which has bots that are constantly skimming profit from everywhere in the ecosystem, and Pancake themselves, because they actually take profit on their transactions by selling liquidity. So every time we add that's another thing. So if you're just buying and selling and doing arbitrage that way, that's generating fees. If you're adding liquidity, that's not generating fees. So that's how we inject value into that trunk BUSD pool. But the way to think about it is our long-term value is the elephant treasury, but our day-to-day liquidity for the community to basically pay their bills, or they're coming in, they're coming out of the ecosystem. That's the trunk BUSD LP. That's the tip of the spear. So those two contracts, trunk BUSD liquidity pool and the elephant treasury, those are our sort of sword and shield. I won't talk about who came up with that.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, this AMA took a different direction than I intended when you said BTC is trash. So I'm gonna not even go there. We'll save that for
it
another day.
I mean, it really is being tested by the entire world. It's sort of like, is this reliable collateral? Well, I mean, it's not quite there yet. But I guarantee you, if we had as many users as BTC, we would be worth way more than Bitcoin, and the price would not go down. So, yeah, just think about that for a second. Like, I really challenge people. I mean, we're all exposed to what price action looks like on Uniswap. We know this to be true. Like if you have basically these two major whales that don't sell, basically the problem with the exploit was, and also with on the UST side, well, the UST side was an unforced error. Do Kwon should never have sold his BTC. Like, you're already in the hole. Don't make the problem worse. And that's the failure of confidence. And that's why that peg is even lower than little old trunk, right? So
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So the best thing that people can do in the community to help with peg is just minting trunk, correct? And then sticking it down into Stampede.
correct, or stake it, but basically we have to just like hold our nose when it comes to peg, and really get the treasury back to where it needs to be, and we do that by minting.
Okay, can you talk about how low did the peg go? And do you feel like we're on the right direction? And how, because I think people's biggest hesitancy is, oh, I'm going to mint this and then lose my money. So what would you say, like, how low did this go? And are we going in the right direction? And what would you say to people who are afraid of losing peg worse?
Okay, so it went down to 50, and um, then it went back as high as like 96. Uh, but the problem is that we have weak hands. It's this peg and what it's doing is all self-inflicted. So as a community, we have to understand that, like, with the new architecture and with the new governance model, um, no attacker can compel tokens to exit the elephant treasury. You know, um, they're locked in now. We're protected. We're not. It's the elephant treasury is not exposed to um, public endpoints that could compel tokens to come out of there, um, um, out of the schedule that the governance is enforcing. So basically, the peg support is on a APR that's based in tokens, in token count. So not even price can influence how fast tokens exit the elephant treasury at this point. So basically, the other thing that we're going to see is that I think I have the peg support set at 5% now, basically 5% APR, which is which can be either uh, half or 100% of basically the reflections. So basically, any reflections that it's picking up, it's using that to pay back. We know that works, but what do we have to do? We just have to get the value of the treasury to go up, and then as the value of those tokens go up, right? And as there's more volatility on the elephant side, people coming in and out taking profit on that side, but in general, the price going up. That's what's going to push. That's going to be more dollar value liquidity going to the trunk BUSD pool, which is going to push the peg up. And in the latest release of the peg support strategy that I pushed yesterday, it actually uses a ratcheting mechanism. The ratcheting mechanism that we've the tried and true ratcheting mechanism that we've used in Stampede. So in the first version of the peg support, I was just taking cash value from the elephant treasury and then minting new trunk tokens to pair with that and throw that in as liquidity. But instead, now we're taking that cash value, we're using half of it to sell elephant for BUSD, and then to get the trunk, we're buying we're buying the trunk. We're buying the trunk from the liquidity pool, and then pairing that with the BUSD from the elephant sale. So I mean, so basically, we sell elephant for cash, but then we take half that cash and buy the trunk, and then add that back. So we have a net positive action. It's taking trunk that's not putting additional trunk in circulation in the liquidity pool. Because remember, if you want to raise the price of something in the liquidity pool, you have to take tokens out. But we're trying to add that net value, so we're trying to add more BUSD. So when we do that pairing of trunk and BUSD, we should use the trunk that's already existing in the pool. So that's what's in. I'm not necessarily keeping track of the versions for the governance contracts, but basically for the governance contracts, we're already 3 versions deep. That's how fast I move on this stuff. And also, people ask the question about like, well, are these things audited? Basically, liquidity jockeying is what I do day in, day out, and these are standardized building blocks that have been audited many times by many different auditors over the years, and not just for this specific project. This is the first time where this exploit, believe it or not, is the best thing to ever happen to this community, because it's really the final piece to really protect these treasuries and stuff. Because and I guess you have seen you've seen passive treasuries like in Ohm. Like if you look at Olympus, they had a passive treasury, and they had a DAO and governance that would decide what to do with it. So in that sense, it was protected because it was just sitting there. Like money goes in, it doesn't come out unless it's explicitly taken out by the team. So we kind of have that, except it's autonomous and it's in code. And the levers that I have are just changing the APR, and but otherwise these things are locked on the blockchain, and our governance is more real, because every time a community member presses that button, that's a vote of confidence, and actually makes the system do something that benefits everyone.
Yeah, no, totally. Have you run the calculations? How much trunk needs to be minted to get back on peg?
The easiest way to figure that out is actually if you scroll up, I believe. Is it up? Yeah. So you see that? Okay. If you see under stack, there's trunk. There's a link for trunk. That link right there. Is that the liquidity pool? Oh, actually, I need to go back. Sorry, not that one. There it is. That one. Yeah. If you click that one, it's gonna say what's in there, but basically those have to be roughly equal. So whatever the difference is between those two, we just have to add half of that. And so like you see, there's 7. I can't blow this up, but it looks like there's. Let me try to blow this up. There's 7.7 million versus 5.7 million, so 2 million. So we need about $1 million, $500,000 in there to get back on peg. So not a lot of money, really. Okay, so boom, that's another point of discussion. So one of the things that we can easily do as a community is to foster relationships with market makers. Now, if I go to a market maker, and market makers help maintain price, right? But we have enough whales that that we just need to get enough. We just need to get organized. People need to understand that really, like, only $500,000 is needed. We can do this in a decentralized fashion, but whales need to understand, like, they have the money. We collectively have the money. We just have to move in the same direction. We have to move together as the herd. I'm not trying to be cheesy, but like literally, like, we move together as a single unit, we win. It's very easy for us to win. So between all of us, we have cash flows in other projects. Like, many of us are in node projects or other types of projects, passive income projects, and many of us have businesses. One of the reasons why we've had such high TVL historically is because we've been in the game so long that we've fostered relationships with whales that are small business owners or medium-sized business owners. Um, we have at least a couple hedge funds, that they're not waving their flag or their name, but they're there. Uh, um, they just have to understand what to do. So literally having these AMAs, I would say this is my first truly. Congratulations! This AMA is actually ahead of like the own internal AMA, and that's simply just because um, um, I don't do AMAs just for the sake of the best. My time is best spent, getting those contracts working and really humming. So like, uh, the strategy that I use for getting this stuff out is in software, and especially in network software, is called continuous delivery. So it's just like, your favorite game on your iPhone, or just your favorite app on your iPhone, or just iOS in general. Like there's no announcements or this or that. There's no hype. There's but you're constantly just being asked to update, right? That's what continuous delivery looks like. That's what mature software looks like. And at the end of the day, this is just software. So it's financial software. So being experienced in both and being experienced in the process of delivery and also ethics, that stuff matters. So, and I think you see the difference. I think one of the things that I definitely didn't want to have happen is have the system um, pause for too long so that people didn't have access to capital. For the entire exploit, during the when the exploit happened, and then shortly after, the system was still 100% online. People could get in and out of trunk if they were in the staking pool. People could add and compound their funds if they were in Stampede. As the first came, I had a ton of anxiety around trying to get this thing buttoned up, so that people, there's a certain set of people that, like, they're using this stuff to pay their bills, right? And it was very important to me for them to be able to get full access back for the capital. So I think we released, shortly after the first. But a lot of this work was done. Um, I have my kids. This is just some personal information, but I'm divorced, and so I had my kids for spring vacation, and I took them down to my hometown in Philly to visit my family and stuff, and that was their first time in, like, really in Philadelphia. Uh, my girls are 6 and 10, and I was coding at the pool. I didn't hop in the pool once. I was coding at the pool, and I was coding at night in the bed in the hotel room or in the lobby for a week. Because we were visiting lots of different family, and we needed more space and stuff that my mom could provide. And so yeah, it was a trip, but like that's when the all those updates on Medium and all that stuff, and the code that was actually written, and the coordination with Peck Shield and with Insurace and all of our partners that helped us get back online. That was all done um, while I was taking care of my girls on vacation solo.
Man,
So
can I ask you? So, audience might not care about this, but I just even the day of the exploit, like I was worried for you, just like emotionally, and like how did you hold up through all that? And like, does this cause? I mean, do you stay up at night? Like, you have a hard time sleeping, or like, how are you holding up emotionally just through this project?
uh believe it or not, like, crisis management is not new to me. I'm usually the one that they, whether it be State Street or Fidelity, I'm part of the team that they call to help fix problems. Like these things happen at real banks, like all the time. We have bigger teams to, manage everything, right? And uh, one of the things with crisis management is oftentimes say less, right? Fix the problem and say less, and just get past it, right? Um, uh, Funds actually can get stolen, right? But we have insurance in the real world, and that was one of the reasons why when the community said, "Hey, a couple whales," they were like, "Hey, we want to put more money in, but we need insurance," and I'm like, that totally makes sense to me. Let me get on it. And I think we got the insurance and got on board with insurance a little bit faster than normal, because that was a very high priority. And I was looking at the TVL and I was like, God damn, we need insurance. Now, can we get insurance at the total protocol level? I think that's asking a lot. But I think what we've seen in the space is that this whole marketplace, all these smart contracts, all these systems are being tested by this looming recession that's coming. Basically, we have to control all this expansion of money supply. It has to contract. So we're basically getting forced into recession. So,
Yeah.
and now everything's getting tested. But we built this for this. Like that was always the goal. That's part of the design. Like to be ready for something like this, which is why Elephant works the way it does. We're not trying to boil the ocean. There will be no gambling here. There will be no, we're trying to build a 100% ethical, system that everyone can get behind. Yeah.
Can I ask you, can you talk a little bit about the insurance and how that works? What does that cover? Um, I don't know. I've
Sure.
had a lot of questions about that personally, so I assume others do as well.
Right. So it basically covers smart contract risk. It's not. It doesn't cover the peg. Um, and I think we could actually have, we could work with them to cover the peg, but I think in general, uh, I'm I feel like we got that part as a community. We got that part. Like if we can't cover peg ourselves, basically by having the value of elephant dwarf the value of trunk, which it should, mechanically speaking. So we don't need to cover the peg. This is a transient period where we have to recover from this exploit. We have to get elephant back up into the right. But what this covers is it covers sort of unforeseen smart contract risk, and that's kind of what we dealt with the exploit. Um, even even if we had the minimum suggestion from Peck Shield, like Peck Shield talked about, they talked about the loop breaking and basically the sort of customized reentrancy guards, but no one, you know, they still could have came in with they could have came in with the liquidity sourced from somewhere else, right, and did the same attack, right? So um, it would take longer though, but it would ultimately we could have been drained over time, and so uh, the architectural changes in place now protect against that. So, but basically, but we didn't know we needed all that, right? We thought we were good. Everybody thought we were good. The majority of the system was audited and has been working just fine. But the we have to be ever vigilant. So, but if you pay like I think it's like 2% on your money that's in the platform, You pay 2% of that, and you can get coverage for those funds. And um, because trunk is simple, it's very easy to account for, like, how much you lost. And so basically, in the case of our exploit, uh, Insurace, the way they did the compensation was they would buy trunk at peg for how much you thought you lost, and give that back. So it was kind of ironic that the people who made claims were actually also part of the problem. Basically, if you made a claim, it was because you sold, and it was because you sold that we lost peg. Basically, a ton of stakers flying to safety because they thought they needed to is why we're in this predicament right now. So
Okay. I have a lot of people asking, and I'm not totally sure what this must be a community thing, but can you talk about the upgrade for Stampede redemptions? I've had a lot of people asking about it, so I assume you might know what they're talking about.
okay. So that was like a little bit of a brain fart that I had, like, one night. I mean, I was up. Well, you talk about my sleeping and stuff. Um, I have this. I just want to get everything right as soon as possible, right? So I've been working very hard to do that. And I was up late coding, and I actually coded up a whole solution to doing redemptions in this sort of new normal. But then when I looked at it, I was like, okay, I just broke. I just there's still going to be some condition where people can just poke at this thing. But I basically broke. I basically exposed Bertha again. And I had to slap my hand, and I'm like, God damn it, no, you cannot directly expose Bertha. We have to do this as a community. If the community wants to get the peg, we mint. No shortcuts. So, like, I was like, well, if one thing I was thinking was, like, well, if you're a Stampede holder, you could redeem based on how much Stampede you had bonded. But I was like, that's cool, and that would work pretty well, but it still could expose. I mean, it just gives a sophisticated attacker with deep pockets another way to kind of get in and basically take money from Bertha off schedule without governance. So the only way that funds come out of the treasury is through governance. The new normal, the new rule is funds do not exit the treasury um, via user interactions. Funds only exit the treasury through governance, which should make sense. That's how municipalities work. That's how churches work. You have to have the board. You have all. People have to submit. Their various pet projects and line items, and have it all tabulated, and then you decide, like at your church or whatever, you decide how much money comes out of the treasury. You just don't take it out willy-nilly, right? So I'm feeling really good about what we have now.
Okay, no, that I think that's a good answer. A lot of people were asking about that, so I just thought I'd bring it up. Can you talk about? There's rumors going around about being investigated by the SEC and things like that. Do you want to talk, or is there any truth to those rumors? And are you guys worried about regulations, or do you have anything that you're thinking in regards to that?
In terms of securities law, I'm pretty sure we're definitely not a security. Everything you do, you have to press a button for. Um, there's no promises here. It's all on chain. We do have a relationship with the U.S. government, and that's mainly just Um, we have contacts in the FBI now, and we're actually helping them better understand all this stuff. Uh, Really, they're just not there yet. So, um, is being 100% transparent. Like they're still coming up to speed on all of this, and frankly, even in the case of our exploit. Whether or not they have jurisdiction to actually prosecute and things like that is probably not, right? So um, the best that they can do, because these are sort of ill-gotten gains, is wait for the attacker to actually take move the money off chain, and that's usually when these guys get caught actually. So but I was pretty clear in the sort of the bounty, which actually exists right now. So we have a bounty program now, and basically, if we are attacked, and if a sort of gray hat hacker does take some money, if they give it back, they can keep 10% for themselves, because we have to do a little bit of self-regulation here, um, because as it turns out, there's not many people here to save us. I think there is some action going on in New York to, you know, stop rug pulls and things like that. So that's interesting. That's not something we have to worry about. I mean, but
Yeah. From my perspective too, I think the SEC's got bigger things to worry about right now with Ripple and now the UST stuff. I feel like Elephant Money. I mean, maybe in the future, but I feel like that's probably the least of the things on their radar. That's just my opinion. Again, not legal advice.
right. Yeah, exactly. And from the context that I have in certain places, yeah, we're bigger fish to fry. They're definitely not coming after. Um, they're definitely not coming after registered agents. Like I'm actually a registered agent. I've been in FINRA, and I've been registered because of my work at State Street Fidelity for over 20 years. So they actually know my name. So the least of they're not going to come after good actors in the space, trying to
Yeah.
make the space better.
Yeah, and I don't people don't realize this too, but the SEC is fully funded by fines. And so it's not worth, a 2-year lawsuit or whatever to, if Elephant has $5 million in the treasury, it's not worth the battle. Whereas like Ripple, that's been, worth it if the SEC ends up winning. But that's another topic. Let's not go there.
Yeah, but we're trying to get back to 200 mil
Yeah.
soon. We're about to
Maybe that's
get
maybe that's a good goal, is to get to the point where the SEC is investigating you. Maybe that's like a goal for the protocol.
more money, more problems. Yes, I mean that's another thing you have to deal with. But no, we can, as a community, we can do this. Like we've done it before, and now I mean we know exactly how many tokens need to be in Bertha for us to, and we know what the price of elephant will be when we get there. And we're at 60, we're at 67 now or whatever. We're doing at least a trillion a day. So all we have to do is also just keep the number of the amount, even if we stay right where we are, like at around 600K in the BUSD treasury, everyone should keep an eye on that. I think one of the YouTubers, like I really hate it sometimes when some of the YouTubers, like there's a couple of our YouTubers that try to do a good job of dissecting how everything works and stuff, and then they make recommendations, but they should really hold off on making major recommendations without fully understanding like how this stuff works. So he's like, it's okay if like the BUSD treasury is moving sideways. No, it's not. Like we
That's
have a
that's why I do AMAs. It's because like I'll just get you on to talk about it. I understand that I do not fully understand the tokenomics of what's going on here, so I'd rather you just talk into it.
No, you do good work, man. So, but yeah, like no, we want to pump as much cash in there And it doesn't take a lot, but we at least want to get to like where we have a million in float every day. We can do that. But the other big thing is teams need to grow. So we need to get that confidence back. And I know a lot of people are scared and they don't like, I definitely want to lose money in DeFi now. But like we have to, the community has to show that, hey, I didn't lose money. I'm making yield. It's a little below peg now, but that's not that big a deal. Um, People who are just long-term savers, people who don't need these funds right now, these are our champions in the community. But yeah, we just need to bring on more long-term savers and folks that have, who want to multiply their cash flows, right? So a lot of people take profit from different places in crypto, bring it here. And then, as I said before, there's real world money coming in all the time as well. We just need to bring back that confidence, know that we're stronger after the exploit and grow.
Yeah, nope, totally agree. And actually, as an investor, it's not that I like to see exploits, and I lost a little bit of money in it, but you like to see if something, drops that far and is able to come back, then for me as an investor, that shows, oh, okay, they've withstood like really tough times already. They didn't just fold underneath. And that tells me a lot about the team. It tells me a lot about the tokenomics, and it tells me a lot about the community. So as an investor, it's bittersweet, bittersweet to see something like that happen.
Right. Yeah.
Can you talk about, is there anything you can reveal about partnerships or what you have going on in the future, or big things that, I think there's two things. There's probably just like more of like, hey, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. But do you have any alphas for like partnerships or big things coming in the future?
Sure, definitely. Let's talk alpha. One big thing is, pardon me, wrapped elephants coming. So wrapped elephant is going to open up a lot of doors in terms of partnerships, um, specifically with custody partners. It's going to allow people to move their elephant around, put it in safe places. So the way you would use wrapped elephant is, like, say you started out and you have your elephant on a hot wallet. And now you don't want to move it because that 10% tax is hefty, and now we're on the lows, and so you don't want to lose anything, right? So when wrapped elephant comes, what you could do is you could wrap it, move it to your ledger, or whatever your cold storage solution is, and then unwrap it, and then you start getting your reflection. So you use wrap to move it around, and then you unwrap it to start collecting yield again, and then through reflections. But the wrapped elephant can also be used if we ever decide to, go the centralized exchange route. Um, Centralized exchanges can use wrapped elephant as the bridge and transfer mechanism as well. And then some more sophisticated ones can then take custody of your elephant wrapped, and then unwrap it, to start getting yield on it. So we talked to a couple of custodians. We talked to Paxos, we talked to F Bank, so those, we'll see how those things turn out. But we have to we have to kind of earn some of those partnerships from now. I think those things would have been very easy when we were like half a billion market cap, and we can get there. All we have to do is we have to get 200 trillion tokens into Bertha again. That's all we have to do, and it's very mechanical how we do it. So just mint that trunk, and then we can close those deals. But we have to get a little bit bigger in market cap again to be able to have some of those interesting conversations. What else is coming? Multi-chain. So we can go multi-chain, and we have to decide if it makes sense for Elephant to go multi-chain. Does it make sense for Trunk to go multi-chain? But we can do that.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, thanks for that alpha. And then a lot of people are concerned just about your health and your sleep and things like that. Are you still, this question is, are you a one-person team when it comes to coding, or are you looking to expand the team, or kind of how's your workload looking?
We are funded, and we have uh, there's developers working right now on the next version of the website. That's going a little slower than I expected it to. Uh, you know, but in general, uh, my goal is, like I've always said that, Elephant is mostly a finished product, right? Even though I'm releasing versions all the time, continuous delivery. But you know what I mean? Like in terms of product market fit, what we're trying to build, we're there. Things like wrapped elephant, multi-chain, those are just part of fleshing out. I guess the best way to think about it is what we're doing. What you see right now is like the core operating system and functionality for the iPhone. It's not the apps, and the apps literally is probably what other teams might do with the CP protocol, with just in general, and yeah, things leverage trunk for sure in different protocols, but we are. This is part of, if you're worried about like me as like sort of I don't know, I've been doing this a long time, but do you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up just a little bit, but I think we can hear you for the most part. Maybe we'll do just a few
Okay.
more questions. I've kept you for quite a while, so I want to let you get back to work here. I think we've answered most of the questions the community has. One question that keeps coming up though is about the sanctuary. Can you talk about that? Is that still a thing, and what is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of these things are sort of, until it hits medium, it's not sort of real. If I like just blurt it out in Telegram, you know, that might just be a brain fart. I mean, I do that. Like, I mean, like I'm literally, you know, I literally love my community and we hang out, and so I get energy and I'm energized by, I'm not working in isolation. Like I got my Telegram open. I'm really not on Discord a lot. I set up the Discord. I tried. I set it up. I tried. But it's just not the same. So,
See,
but
I'm the
yeah.
opposite. I can't stand Telegram. My Telegram is an absolute wreck. But yeah, I know when I want to get a hold of you, Telegram is the way to go. So I hop on there for you, and that's about it. Uh, yeah, no, I understand
Yeah.
that totally. Though, as an innovator, sometimes you're just spitting out ideas, and so the community should know not necessarily take all of them as gospel that hey, this is going to happen, but a lot of brainstorming and things with the community. So
Yeah, just spitballing things, see what sticks. But then you have to really, like there was going to be the elephant relay. It was like yeah, we can have this thing called the elephant relay, and that's how you can avoid the fees. I'm like, that's the stupidest idea ever. Why don't we just do wrapped elephant? You know?
that's funny. Well, does anybody else have any questions that they'd like me to ask BT while we have him here? I don't know if you feel like talking into this, but we have some people asking if you were Duquan right now, what would you do? What does UST need to do to get back on peg? Is it possible? Maybe just what are your thoughts on that as we're kind of closing up here?
UST trunk pair.
Yes.
Pancake swap. And
I will tweet
he
that
can
out as a possible solution to this mess.
he can if he just throws like 10 million in, throw 10 million into the LP and we'll be great.
Or 500,000, that's all we're looking for.
Well, we got to pad it. He's got deep pockets. Um. Oh, just when I do have some downtime, I like to I like to like binge watch a little some good television. I finished Ozark, um, uh, another good series that to help people kind of understand a lot of this stuff, um, and to see what kind of mistakes communities and founders have made in the past. Um, there's a show called uh, Super Pumped, which talks about like the Uber, which talks about the growth of Uber. So it's a single season, but it shows the shows the Travis Kalanick, the founder of Uber, and the growth of Uber and how they kind of figured things out and became successful in spite of the founder. And then there's also We Crashed. That's on Apple, and that's about WeWork, which is the co-working space, and how that actually grew and turned into something. And those were both two unicorns with and they actually both went public in the end, right? And so a lot of people lost, but more people won in the end. So it just shows that you can go through tough times, and even like founders and stuff can make mistakes, but overall, if you have a good vision and it's going to succeed. And so um, I think for us, I think more of whether we win or lose is in our hands. Like the core protocol is working. Like so, I don't see the meat and potatoes changing that much. I really think it it literally takes only 500K for us to get back on track. So
Yeah.
you know,
Can I
hope.
ask? Can I ask what you guys are doing from a marketing standpoint? Like, do you have a marketing team? How much thought do you give into that? I know sometimes innovators and programmers are awesome at the software side of things, but then they have a hard
Hmm.
time marketing. And so, what are your
Hmm.
thoughts on that?
So we have a marketing team, and they're funded through the performance pool, and they're working. Like I don't post on Twitter anymore. I don't post on Instagram. Um, they come up with the content and stuff like that. Do they need to be stronger, or could we be stronger? Uh, yeah, that's a sensitive conversation, but like, basically, I mean, I have a market. I've hired a professional marketing team, and uh, I feel like they have to grow into the space, but they also, we've also been quoted in Time Magazine. We've been quoted in U.S. News and World Reports. We've had, you know, myself, I've spoken directly to what's happened in Russia, Ukraine, and that all happened because we have paid marketing. We also run ads on BSC Scan and EtherScan. So we spend on that's a $20,000 spend per month. We've done that for 2 months. So we're running ads on there. So we really were cooking with gas before the exploit. So um, I think the best marketing though is the word of mouth marketing that everyone in the community can do. Like we have 18,000 elephant holders right now. All we have to do is just get each holder just needs to get one more person, and then we double when we get to 40,000 holders. I mean, like we're like in the running. There are $1 billion protocols that have around 50,000, 60,000 holders. Um, for Stampede, same thing. We could double to 12,000 participants in Stampede overnight, and we definitely would be back at Peg. All those people bring in their capital. There's tons of people looking for sanctuary right now. and and I think we kind of fit the bill because all of our stuff's kind of working. All we have to do is get that peg. That's only 500K. I mean, I actually know whales that could probably get it done by themselves. So
Yeah.
um, we just
Do
have
you
to get
have
that confidence back.
Do you have thoughts on like a more robust referral system maybe? Like one thing that I've wanted like as a YouTuber, it'd be nice if I could just send a link that or if you required a partner or something like that, that's something that I won't mention other protocols. I know you don't like
Okay, sure.
a lot. But things like that as a YouTuber, those help. Um, I don't know, a more robust referral system. I mean, there's all sorts of things you could do. So I'm sure you guys are talking through and working through
I
all of those.
I won't go into detail, but like I invented that referral system. If you go to Flow, that's how that all works. It's kind of the referral system is kind of the way it is because I understand like for it's a catch 22, but like I'm just like I definitely don't want this to be MLM, right? And it really and the community has to understand that we win. And this is like I love YouTubers, like, and I know that like the referral system favors anyone that can just simply build and influence, people directly. So like in your case, you can have as many partners as you have subscribers, right? But I think that but once we get out of the sort of the influencer elite, if you will, you're I know you don't feel like you're when it comes to that type of stuff and team building. You're in the elites, James.
Well, thanks. It doesn't feel like it today. I'm looking at the markets and I'm like,
Like, what? Yeah, but like I really I want people to be able to reach out to their friends or whatever, and not but still not feel like that there's this huge burden of team building and stuff. So I really wanted to just to be one on one, and I also didn't want people in the community to feel like you know um, people who did have a lot of reach and could build that first layer, that they had this massive advantage going down by building out like a whole like org tree underneath them, and all those referral and income. So it all happens more organically in the system, but we're just not trying to force it, so it works more like a Amazon referral, right, than like Mary Kay.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, it's a struggle because like on Drip I have 4,000 people under me, and on Elephant.Money I have like 300, and so but I understand what you're saying. You don't want it to be an MLM, but you need money. It's difficult lines to cross. So I never say you should do this. I just throw out suggestions, and then
Yeah.
I go back to my corner and just wait to see
No,
what
but
you
okay.
come up with.
So speaking to that though, even though you can't see the network under you, like so say so, okay, fine, Drip. If you have 300 people as the first layer, but then you see those as directs, and then you see the 4,000 as the indirects, right? You actually see that. You still have that on Elephant as well, but it's just not being reported, right? Because the emphasis isn't there. The emphasis is with the people that you directly impact, right? And then, but in terms of the tokenomics and the economics, rest assured, those rewards are making accounts larger, and that value is bubbling up. So it is definitely good to get as many direct partners as you can, and know that even though you can't see the network underneath, it's there. It's still there.
Yeah, for sure. It just might be a good way because, like, I'm not completely seduced by referrals, but there's a lot of YouTubers who I think would market Elephant more heavily if they knew, oh, I'm going to see a lot out of this. So it's like a ton of balances to work through. Do you want YouTubers like that promoting it and um, things like that? So
I
there's a
think
lot of
in
lines
the
to navigate.
yeah, it's just patience, right? in the long run, we're all gonna make it. You know, it's as good as just an Amazon affiliate, and Amazon's doing pretty well. Their affiliate market, one level affiliate marketing. So you know, we're not gonna get, we're not gonna get into any issues down the line, regulate from states or at the federal level with just a one level affiliate. So it's all about it's about staying in the lines. And then for this system, it's really important because I want us to win. It's really important for us to stay in the lines.
Yeah, no, totally get that. Okay, well, let me go ahead and close up here. I think we've have discussed a ton. We're at an hour and a half, and people who are watching this back, most of them probably won't make it this far. If you are still watching, please hit the like button. Again, I want to get a lot of eyes on this. I think for me, it's a great project. The exploit was a bummer, and I think, yeah, definitely slowed down the trajectory of things. But I still have this in my top 10 projects. I still believe in the tokenomics. And somebody asked, after the exploit, why would I put my money here instead of someone else? And where else are you going to put it right now? I mean, that's what I would say is there's not a lot other places that I feel super great. Anchor would be one of the places where I'd be like, oh, that's the safest place you can put your money in crypto. And we found out, oh, actually, it wasn't that safe there. So something like this, I think, is a great diversification from other things. And I just want to remind people how to get in. So you need BUSD in your wallet, so you can grab that on PancakeSwap. If you buy BNB on Binance or KuCoin or wherever, send it over to PancakeSwap or to your MetaMask wallet, swap for BUSD, and then you can mint here for Trunk. So you're basically trading BUSD for Trunk. And again, this is the best thing for the protocol is doing that. Then you can put it in here for high yield savings account, basically 85% APR that you can take in and out as you need to. And then down here, you can bond your Trunk where it's deposited in, but you're getting a 205% APR that you can either roll or claim as it comes out daily. And somebody did remind me too, this 205% APR is actually 625% APY, maybe something like that, if you keep rolling it over. Does that sound about right?
That's about right.
So that's a great place for a stable coin. And I guess we don't even need to do stable coin anymore because no stable coins are completely stable as we're seeing.
We're more stable than UST.
That's definitely true, man. It's crazy. Yeah, you must have missed all of it, but yeah, it was down at like 29 cents, and Luna was down at like 90 cents.
Luna down to 90 cents?
Yeah, it's recovered a little bit. It's back up to like 250 now or 260. But it's
wasn't it $20 or it was higher than that, right?
Yeah.
Luna.
Crazy world. Crazy world.
Pick up some Luna.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not giving any financial advice today. I'm gonna take a nap and then wake up and hope that it's better. So well,
this has been a ton of fun. So much. Thank you so much for having me on again. This has been great. Yeah, it's just been great. I've actually watched it. It's been also fun just to watch a couple of your AMAs leading up to this. And so I guess we're having a lot of fun in the space right now. It's great.
Yes. Yeah. Some days more fun than others. But yeah, thank you so much for hopping on. And I want to thank the audience too. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of your questions. But I do appreciate you guys watching. Again, there's no way that BT would take the time to hop on here unless he knew that there was going to be people watching. So I appreciate you guys very much, and do hit the like button. If you're watching on a replay, hit the like button. Appreciate all you guys. And yeah, BT, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thanks, James.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Don't watch the charts. Just take a nap. BT, you're doing a great job. That's what comments are saying. Tell BT he's doing a good job.
Oh, thank you. And you guys are too.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.